King Alcohol has many forms by which he catches man. He is a beast of many horns, and ever thus has been. For there's rum, and gin, and beer, and wine, and brandy of logwood hue, and hock, and port, and flip, combined to make a man look blue. He says be merry, for his good sherry, and Tom and Jerry, champagne and perry, and spirits of every hue.
It was, what, 79 when homebrewing was legalized from the old Jimmy Carter?
Was it 79?
79, I believe.
Or was it his brother?
No, it was Jimmy.
Oh,
I think he signed it in October, and then it came. I think it was February when it came to fruition.
Next week. From a Prohibition history thing, like we like to try to pull a few things. Next week on October 14th, 1978, at the federal level, it became legal to homebrew up to 200 gallons per year for personal consumption. So if you're drinking 200 gallons of beer a year,
but it's amazing,
good on you, mate.
It was that long before you could make beer at home. I mean,
in larger quantity, in large enough, large. I don't know how 200 gallons. That actually doesn't seem very large at all.
That's not a lot. Over 365 days, you got to spread it out.
I'm thinking 200. I always picture milk bottle, gallon.
I think there's still states that they're still like 100, at 100 gallons, and there's
what's a growler? Is that
32 ounces?
So that's
64 ounces.
That's only.
Growler 64 ounces.
So half a gallon.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Pat, let's say you go home and you drink 4 beers a night, 12 ounces.
Yeah, 64 is half a gallon.
So if you drink a 6-pack a night.
So 128 is a gallon, right? Okay, so yeah.
120.
That's still a lot of beer.
I just want to say that I was right.
You were.
Thanks.
I still had to look it up.
Man, you would think over.
Yeah, I can't imagine drinking a gallon of.
But
that's
when you say
a lot.
personal use, you're entertaining. You have family. You have a wife or like friends that come over, or whatever. That's
I have a wife. That's 200 gallons right there. I mean, that should be. Kids, another 200.
I don't have any of those, so it's just me.
Well, you might
so I can't,
you have no excuse.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
I can't imagine drinking.
I'm sure that wasn't getting enforced.
Well, but think about it. So, how much is in a can? A regular like PBR?
12 ounces. Yeah.
12 ounces. So you drink a 6-pack a day. If you drink 6 beers a day.
Nope. I'm pretty sure that's how you get on America or the Cops.
Cops or Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
Hold on. A 6-pack a day?
Yeah. I could never drink a 6-pack a day. That's ridiculous. Your liver would die.
I know.
Your liver would scream and die.
I know a few people that do.
6 beers?
Yeah, a day for 365 days. You can do that.
He's like I'm on a 12 right now.
He's like 6. That's only half of what I do a day.
I don't drink 6 beers a day.
Listen, not every day. I shouldn't say every day, but I get home at 1 p.m.
Uh-huh.
I get home at 1 p.m. and I have a couple beers, right straight off.
Right.
Like within the first half hour, I'm home. I'm drinking 2 of these.
Remember that intervention we were talking about?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, Jeremy, welcome to intervention.
Listen, I'm drinking 2 of these, and they're.
This is all just a show.
Listen, and maybe I have a problem. Who knows? And listen.
I know people who do drink a 6-pack a night.
So
I could never.
I used to. I mean, but years ago when I was, my 20s, I would not. But I didn't do that every day. I never drank every day.
A bottle of vodka.
Never drank every day.
Sure.
And yeah.
So it's 8%.
Right.
Okay.
What are you drinking 6 a night of though? Craft. Cooks.
I kind of feel like I'm being judged right now. Okay.
Not yet. Not till you tell us the truth.
Now we tell you what you're doing. Not till you tell us what
you're
doing.
You invited judgment upon you, though.
I did. So I opened up the door. So okay, here we go. Let's hear. We're gonna do this. All right. So depending on
I am sitting in the high chair.
Sometimes I will stop and get like I said, like the short bottles of the Coors.
Okay, that's fine.
And I may drink 6 of those.
Okay.
I've been known to drink 6 of these at 8%. Sometimes I like micheladas, so I'll get the Bud Light micheladas or the Modelo's or whatever. But
okay,
what's your genetic origins? Like Scottish, Irish?
You hit it. We were
Scottish, Irish, and German. He's an alcoholic.
No,
We
no,
were
no.
at
So
the
so
genetic
so
level.
6 beers is only 3 to the
Right.
we
Right.
have-
Exactly.
So I mean, so
Yeah,
like,
so it's-
my cousin.
fine.
So we came from Scotland and migrated down to Ireland, and then my father's side is heavily Native American.
Oh, there you go.
So
Then yes, you have a problem.
I don't think I have a problem.
You just have a high tolerance.
You
Yeah.
have a high tolerance.
Right.
I
Well,
know, I
no,
know.
when you got that Scottish body mass, frigid Highland temperatures.
Yeah.
Like my second oldest brother has calves the size of our heads. He's like 6'1", and he's a big boy. I mean, he's never drank ever, but I started drinking and I was like shocked at how much I could drink
Yeah.
without getting a buzz compared to
Yeah.
some of my more
That's
svelte.
what people get mad at my
friends.
brother and I. They're like, we drinking all that. Oh, fucking
Well, you
Douglases
got-
are always standing there. You
You
never
got-
tell these guys
yeah.
are drunk.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of it. We have
Yeah, if
Native American
if
and-
you have that
You
bulldog
got that,
sort
you got
of
that genetic liver,
Right,
you got genetic
right, sure.
super liver.
bulldogs don't work out to get. It's just genetics,
Right.
right? And if
if
you're
you
Scottish,
if
you
you
have a
averaged
little-
it out I probably sometimes I'll drink 10, sometimes I'll drink 6, sometimes I'll drink 3.
Sure.
So I mean sometimes, but if I've had a hard day at work or whatever, I'll come home and get right after it.
Wow.
I'll totally enable you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I'm right with you, man.
So for me, I don't drink at home unless like you guys are around.
Right.
Or, I never drink alone. Well, not never, but I tend to not drink alone. I'll go out and drink, or if people are over, I'll drink. It's just me.
Well,
so that's
I
why
think we're
200.
kind of getting into a little bit of a deeper thing where the reason why people drink alone and
Well, no. I just the reason I was trying to give you on what my thought was, I was like 200 to me. 6 beers a day seems
Ridiculous,
wow
yeah.
to
Well,
me.
it's
But it's
so
I wasn't
six
judging
times
you
6 times. I know
But I
you
wasn't
weren't. I know
judging
you
you
weren't.
on
Where
mine.
it's not.
because you should have seen the amount of freaking
So
vodka.
6
and,
times 365.
Yeah.
I mean, do the math. 6
I
times
don't-
365.
I don't think it's bad. I just don't. To me, the beer is more of a social thing, and so I'm not.
Bourbon's
not,
a chill thing for you.
I do.
Beer
I drink.
is a
I do
social
drink
thing.
bourbon. I mean, I drink a bourbon every night.
You drink
Just- I don't
bourbon
think
when
there's-
you're by yourself just to unwind for the
Absolutely.
evening. Yeah, while you're watching a game or
Absolutely.
whatever, you're having a couple
Same
sips.
here.
If I'm watching if there's a hockey game on, I might crack a couple beers if I'm watching a hockey game, just because if it's I will. But I mean, usually, and that's usually not unless it's a weekend. During the week, I might have but usually it's because I'm drinking a craft beer, and I'll do a freaking
Right.
pitcher and shit like that. I'll drink a good
Right.
craft beer, and for me, especially if I'm drinking a 12 or 14% stout or something nice, and I'll have one, and that's it. And then, but I will have a bourbon, and I'll usually before I wind down, I'll have a bourbon or a scotch at night.
If I
and-
stop and get like a 4-pack of like Dragon's Milk, there's like 11.5 or
Mhm.
whatever. I'll drink 2 of those.
yeah.
Beer's just never been my personal thing. Like if I do drink at home, which I do rarely, or it's usually like I'm either gonna go whole hog, and I'm like
I'd rather just,
I'm making 32 ounce whiskey sours,
Right.
4 or 5 of those and down in a
Attaboy.
bottle.
Right.
But that's
'Cause you're on a
one-
mission, yeah.
But that's one offs.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I myself I've
No,
never
but-
been able to do a lot of it like a nightly thing. But I
Right.
see people who do it, and I'm like,
Yeah, if I'm doing
Works
shit
for
around the
you.
house or especially weekend,
But I don't grab a
outside. I'm
beer.
definitely drinking beer if I'm doing housework.
I
and
don't
shit.
even do that. I won't
Yeah.
grab a
Oh,
beer.
you're
I'll
weird.
make myself like a mixed drink real quick with some ice in it or
But
something, and I'd rather
but
do
you're
that.
still drinking alcohol.
But not every day. It's like I drink maybe once a week, unless I have something else to do.
What?
Yeah. Well, you got to remember.
So he's the odd man.
Yeah, I am the
not
odd man.
Jimmy.
But you also have to remember, for about 10 years out in Arizona, I drank upwards of 2 bottles of vodka a night or a weekend.
Okay,
Sorry.
so
I was downing because I was a DJ.
now we're learning more.
Yeah,
So
so
now
I was a
we're
DJ.
starting to
Contextualize.
My first
yeah.
4 years of DJing, I drank 151 and Coke all night long.
Whoa.
Was what I drank. That was my drink. And
Okay.
then I stopped DJing for a little while, and then started back up and did like another 4 or 5 years of DJing, and I was drinking Red Bulls and vodkas all night long, to the point where I probably had about 6 Red Bulls a night, and my heart probably should have. I probably worn my heart out at this point. But I also got to the point where I was drinking like 2 bottles of vodka because I drink all night, and I work at the place, so they're making me, 32 ounce
they're hooking you up,
tumblers,
right? Yeah.
vodka
They're-
and a little bit, it's probably not as much Red Bull as I thought because most of it
Much
was
vodka,
vodka.
that much Red Bull.
But I think I was pretty much taken down from a Friday night, and I drink all night, and then I sleep all day, and then I go Saturday night and work again. So I'm running 2 bottles of vodka a night, or a bottle of vodka a night for the whole weekend, and then I'm recovering the rest of the week. So I've tapered off over time.
Right.
But, you ask him, I can still
Yeah,
take it down with the best of them.
No, yeah.
But daily drinking was never my thing, and so, but I don't hate on anybody who that's their thing. So that's where I was just coming from. Was like, man, that seems like I didn't.
Yeah, those numbers.
No, I knew you
Yeah.
weren't like throwing judgment or no. I got it. No, I know.
But
Come
I was
on.
like, as we did the numbers on the original thing of, you can brew 200 gallons for personal use, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a lot. But then when you start doing the numbers, and taking the ounces, and you're going like, fuck, that is a lot. Because
So,
like if you were drinking 6 a night
So, like,
for
if
365 days a year, you were drinking 2,190 beers in a year.
So how many gallons is that? So it's 12 ounces of beer.
So that's times 12 ounces is 26,280 ounces. So 26,200.
By 128.
Boop, 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 boop.
By 128, right? Is the gallon?
205 gallons.
205 gallons.
So
So that's
So that is 6 beers a day almost. That is practically six.
shaving cream.
That
Holy
is just
smokes.
under. That was 5. That is 5 gallons
like
more.
Sometimes, depending on
So
what
it-
I'm doing, it's less or more. Sometimes I'll
Basically,
get a 4-pack. I'll get a 4-pack of these,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll get like a half pint of
So 6 beers a day is
Jim Beam or
almost-
some Red Stag or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like drinking a gallon every single weekday for a whole year.
Almost, yeah. So the 205 gallons, that's
No.
6 beers a day.
Did
so
we
you're
did we just justify prohibition?
You ever
I
see?
mean, I know it's hard to tell by looking at me. I know it's hard to tell by
No,
looking.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing that 200 gallons that you can brew for personal consumption. If 205 gallons is 6 beers a day, that I guess that accounts for the occasional a holiday where you can't drink, and maybe a little bit of Lent, and you're sick.
So if
I
you
guess
have-
for a couple days out of the year.
So if you have people like they're cooking out and they're at the pool or whatever, they're having like 6 Bud Lights or 6 Coors Lights or whatever. That's nothing
Oh, yeah.
over an evening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I
Sure.
remember back in the day, even just coming back up here in 2009, we'd go, we're drinking 64-ounce beers at Claude
Oh, yeah.
Annie's,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm drinking several of those a night.
Right, you're
because they
drinking
were
5 or
bucks.
6 tall boys.
Yeah.
And those
they were
are,
bullshit piss beers,
Yeah.
of
Right.
3.5%ers or 4, whatever they were. But,
right.
But yeah,
But still, I mean,
but that was a weekend thing. But
yeah.
I mean, like sometimes I'll like I said, I'll stop off and I'll get like the Coors Banquet,
yeah,
and I'll get 6 of them and I'll put them in the refrigerator, and I'll wake up the next morning like, oh, they're gone, but I don't feel like they're gone.
Yeah.
I don't, because I'm used to drinking
sure,
taxman deduction at 8%, and,
Right.
and knocking sometimes 6 of these down a night,
yeah.
which I should never
I,
do.
and I don't do physical labor at work either. So it's not like I'm working my ass off all day.
Not-
Come
not
home
anymore.
want a beer.
Not now.
Well, I mean, but I don't think I ever
I
have.
thought you were walking. Well, you were walking like 12
Well,
miles a
yeah,
day.
well,
That's
that was
what-
just walking
in a
just 'cause of where-
forge, in a forge or whatever.
Yeah,
where
I mean
you were
that's
at.
just where I was. Yeah, it's just where I was at. But yeah, I mean, but I would drink more beer if I was coming home from doing that stuff all day long.
Yeah.
To me, I go to bourbon, but it's always beer's been more of a social thing. Like, well, you drink beer with people, and you,
Right.
and
That's
especially like
always
doing
been
this.
the way for me. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just, and especially when you're doing. That's why I think the
Something
craft scene's
good-
cool.
some-
Gets people talking
Something
and
nice
stuff.
about
And
toasting a beer. And, hey,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
and to me, it's served in known quantities, so I kind of know, like, if I'm drinking for a night, I can pace myself for
right.
socially, so I'm not, that guy
Right.
Yeah.
at the bar, slumped over the,
Right, like
what
I
he's
don't have
trying
a
to
big,
say.
I don't have a big beer fridge, so I know that if I bring 6 beers home or whatever. I know that at the end of the night, I've got one left. I've drank 5 beers,
Right.
and I go to bed or whatever. But like I'm cracking my first beer before I take my jacket off, like when I walk in the
Wow.
house. Like
Yeah.
I'm like,
He's got a small fridge outside the door just so he can get a cold.
no, yeah, it's like. But like I'm
Got
walking
that cooler
in,
in the
I'm walking.
car.
I got the 6-pack. I'm pulling one out. I'm cracking it open. I set it down. I take my jacket, my backpack, or whatever off, and I'm throwing it on the chair. And
I might
And then
know,
you're like, oh, hi, honey.
I might know somebody who works downtown who keeps a cooler in his car so that he can drink on his commute home.
That's the thing though.
Oh,
That's the thing
no.
though.
Yeah.
My schedule switched because I work 4 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So,
Leslie-
technically-
Oh, okay. So your 1 o'clock drinking sounds way better now that I know you
right.
started.
so
Yeah.
Leslie's an educator. So no, even when I work third shift, I got off at 6 a.m. I start drinking at 6:30. I'm off work. It's my
Well,
my
that's
evening
okay,
time,
but
yeah.
you're working your 8 hours
Sure.
shift. You're in a different
So
shift.
so Leslie doesn't come home till like 4:30, 5 o'clock sometimes.
Right.
So I've got those 4 hours, and sometimes I'm half in the bag by the time she gets home, and she doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
So-
I don't understand.
So I almost have to. I need to more. I almost have to learn how to like drink, like my habits.
you have
know what I mean?
to pace yourself.
Because
so
used
you're
to, I
not-
was getting off about the same time she was, and it
Yeah.
evened out. But now it's like I'm off work. Let's start drinking.
Yeah.
You know.
Now he has to drink that's why he drinks the banquets early and then he switches to the craft later
There
so he's
you
not
go.
drunk by the time she gets home.
Yeah.
He's only had like 3-4%ers, or whatever.
Hey,
So
you-
Right,
you
and
get
then I
some-
switched to the
you get
8-9s.
Oh, break time. So doing
yeah,
one.
all
All
right.
right.
Yeah,
we
let's
can
take
do
a
that.
break.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, this is Jeremy Brown from the Blind Pigs Confessions. If you're a craft beer guy who can't get it nearby, do yourself a favor and log on to Tavour.
This is Blake from Burnham Brewing, and we're listening to Blind Pig Confessions.
And I do it in a corporate
Oh, there we-
environment.
I kind of came in in the middle of his speech. Sorry, keep
Oh,
going.
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Sorry about that.
No, but creatively, I put things out there, in front of a, random group of people and often a client, and then, these people who may not be in my profession, who are just, salespeople or marketing people, and then they give me feedback, and sometimes you're just like, be
Thanks.
nice,
Yeah, you wanted to be nice, but at the same time, you wanted to be honest because you don't want them to, quote unquote, jerk you off and say,
Sure,
"Oh,
no,
hey,
I-
that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life." When it's
But,
not.
but and like you were talking about getting feedback from, but you're not people watching the show, but actual other comedians, right?
or the club owner,
or somebody who actually has some impact and some knows what they're talking
Listen,
about.
Let
don't
me
give
give
a-
you a little background before we keep going. So we were having a little offside conversation before we rolled back into our show, and we were talking about.
Well, if you get over there and start recording when you're supposed to.
Well, shut the.
Hey,
Damn it.
put these boxing gloves on.
Right?
Yeah.
But so we were talking about feedback and
Sure.
and telling even from a brewing standpoint of
Being truthful with people.
being truthful with people, because a lot of times we get a lot of brewers out there or people popping in.
A lot of people starting
and
out
they're
and-
I'm brewing out of my garage. and
stay in the
things
garage.
are great. But it's because you have your family and friends around you. You're
Right.
like, oh, that's great, but would you buy it?
Would you buy
And then
it?
so we wanted to get we started moving into Jeremy's profession, which is comedy, and Chris's profession, which is designing, but also music.
And music and
Yep.
And you said yours is completely different from what we normally hear from like brewers and stuff.
Yeah,
where
it
And-
sounds
and-
like in
and
comedy
musicians
they're
where
more
they're-
open
right.
about
They
feedback,
pump you
yeah,
up,
honest feedback,
music,
constructive criticism.
music
Yeah.
and brewing, they seem to just kind of
Fluff.
as you said, jerk you off a little bit, and give you the high praise.
Yeah.
You said it's different for comedy, right?
No, it's totally different
Super
because
critical?
because especially like Chris Bowers, who used to own Morty's comedy joint, he had a workshop every week, and he would bring in all these up and coming comics,
Sure.
and he would say, "What's your joke idea?" This and that, and he would work with them and try to like tweak their jokes or whatever. And a comic from New York said, "Why would you do that? Why would you?" He goes, "Because I want to have good comics at my show. I
Yeah,
want to have
right.
like." Why would you not do that? So
Elevate the community versus
correct. So I would come off
being
stage.
stingy.
My question on though was he a worthwhile teacher?
Right.
Well,
So that's the other thing, because you can have somebody critiquing your shit all day long, but if they suck and it's the teacher,
no,
do
I
as
would
do
never
and-
take the advice of someone who was a first
Okay.
night open micer,
Yeah.
and I'd been doing it for 9 years.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, they might have a great idea.
Okay.
I don't necessarily dismiss their. If they say, "Hey, listen, I know you've been doing this for a while, but here's my idea, and you can tell me to fuck off or whatever," and I'll say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe
Fuck
maybe that's a better idea."
I guess it depends on how they present it too. If
Right.
they're
And
presenting
so-
to you
so-
like they're a
And
know-it-all, but
sometimes
they're not.
like I'm not a big deal or whatever. But if they say, "Hey, have you ever tried telling this joke and using that line instead of that line?" I'm like, "Oh, maybe that is way better."
Yeah.
Or even my wife will say, "Yeah, that's funny," and my wife's never done comedy ever. That's funny, but try doing this because that
Are we talking about your bedroom or comedy show?
yeah. Well, both.
no, and there she says
Both.
you need more props.
Both. Yeah, you need more props. All right.
Prop.
But yeah, so like they're I mean, obviously, like the other comedians that could give a shit less about the club, they're gonna go to the next city or next town or whatever. They just want to, like, they're in the goodness and kindness of their heart. They're saying, hey, I really like that joke, but like wait 2 seconds before you deliver the next line because they're still laughing and they're not getting the next setup for the next joke.
Gotcha. Okay.
At the same time, the club owner is giving you advice because he wants you to come back and perform better at his club.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Or he tells you just don't come back.
Right, or he tells you, you know, the more experienced people that have been doing it, like Kostaki Economopoulos, or the guys you see on Bob and Tom, or the guys that say, hey, man, I really like that joke, but like instead of saying this, do this or whatever, or like I said before, they will come and straight out and tell you that joke is the most horrible thing I've ever heard. Don't ever tell it on stage again. And I'm like,
and make sure nobody recorded it, or they're going to come back at you in 10 years.
right?
And cancel you.
And this has happened to me before. I'm like, no, but what if I say this and that? No. Don't ever.
What if I say vagina instead of pussy?
Right? Don't ever. That's the worst. And like a lot of times the audience will laugh, but
They're drunk.
correct.
Or you're getting a courtesy laugh. Yeah.
Or a courtesy laugh, correct, yeah, or whatever, or like if you're a musician, you'll get a courtesy clap.
Like on this show.
Yeah.
If it was, I mean, even if the song was horrible, they're not gonna like sit there with their arms folded. They're gonna like.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
know, because it's like those songs where we have the hard ending. You know, it's like bam, bam, and then like nothing happens, and then all of a sudden you'll hear
Oh, somebody starts a slow clap.
versus if they're really dialed in, you finish that song and it's immediate. Woo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But someone if
It's
you-
genuine
if
versus.
The
you
slow clap
If you
is-
get crickets,
Yeah.
someone will try
it's-
to start something.
Maybe
something
there's
like just
really
like-
moved.
Someone
though.
always
It could
feels
be really
awkward and
moved.
starts the slow clap.
You know, it's even more uncomfortable is when you go when there's no clap or no response, and then you go, "Thank you."
I've always said like
Like, why did I say thank you? They didn't give me anything.
the worst musician ever. Like, I can't even like off the
Machine
top of
Gun
my head.
Kelly.
Maybe or let's say Tiny Tim.
Oh, come on,
no,
man.
Tiny Tim
come
was
on,
the
Tiny,
man.
He was
What's wrong with
great.
you?
Yeah.
Fuck all of you guys. Listen, he was horrible. But that's someone like Engelbert Humperdinck or whoever. You know what I mean?
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Right. Like that's someone's favorite musician.
I know.
Yeah, I've got like 3 of his albums.
Right. So like the worst comedian ever. That's someone thinks he's hilarious.
Yeah.
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 It's all like
The
Dan
worst
Cook.
beer, the worst beer in the world. People think it's great.
right.
Like
Rochester
Not gonna
Brew.
say it. Not gonna say it.
Don't
Not
say
saying
it.
Never.
That's what I think is interesting, though, is like if someone telling me, no matter who they are, I mean, everything's in perspective and
That's where you're at.
So I mean, you know, obviously, I would someone either never told Dane Cook he wasn't funny, or I mean, obviously he's been doing this for a long time, and he's horrible. He's not funny. Somebody told me he was, and he's selling shit. I mean, if somebody was telling him to quit doing them jokes, if I heard him, I would say, just quit. But luckily he would never
he
take
got
my
okay.
advice. He's made a lot of money off
Right.
doing it.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's
So,
not
like,
funny.
Like
College
people.
kids.
But so how even if it's somebody that know in that business, that would be hard to take all that in and go, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's a comedian, or I should not do that. But everybody's not
Like
the same
people that
thing
hate Carrot
funny.
Top and like people that hate Carrot Top and hate his style of comedy, and he
Right.
does the props and the
Right.
whole, he opens up the chest and he does this or
Yeah.
whatever. He's literally had a weekly show in Vegas
Right.
for the last 5 years.
Yeah, right.
And he'll make more money than
Yeah, and people make fun of him
Dude,
on
that dude
shows,
is
and he don't give a shit.
correct.
That dude is spooky. Have you seen him now? Because he's all like
He's jacked.
He's all jacked.
Plastic
The working out is
surgery,
huge.
But his face is all plastic surgeryed up. It's creepy as
yeah,
shit.
but listen,
he looks
listen,
like a
I've-
Halloween
but
prop.
I've
man.
literally like I've done weekend shows where I've done like Friday nights 2 shows, Saturday nights 2 shows, or Thursday nights 2 shows, Friday nights 2 shows, and done the same exact set, opening up for Kostaki or whoever, and got crickets one night.
Right.
You know, so it depends on the crowd.
Yeah.
Either they like you or they don't. You know, I
Right.
can tell my jokes and they're funny to some people,
Yeah.
and I don't have a problem with that. You know, it's like I'm not that like, why didn't that joke work for this crowd? Because it didn't.
Right,
Like,
right. So
there's-
you're not trying to go back and dissect everything. Like, oh, what went wrong with that joke this time? Or, unless it was the same joke and it always got the same. Never got a laugh. I would guess at some point you go, maybe I better cut that one out. But I don't know, or I'd say fuck you. I think it's funny, so I wouldn't say it anyway.
Well, a lot of times, like if there's not going to be the same people in the crowd for all weekend long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's going to be different people or whatever. So if
there are, you're at a nursing home doing a show.
Correct. Yeah. So, which I've done. Actually went pretty well, I guess. Anyway.
Well, they forgot the jokes from the last night.
Right, yeah. So they're just laughing again, right? Right. Or they didn't laugh the first night, they're laughing. This guy's amazing.
Same joke, but they just...
I love playing at the Alzheimer's.
Right. But it's so subjective, and it's so like people either they...
Yeah.
It's like we were saying, like Dane Cook or what, like...
But sometimes people can just not be in the mood for comedy. They're trying to go for comedy.
Then don't come to a comedy club.
Right, but that's what's weird too.
But it could be. It's the makeup of the people who are there. It depends.
There's also the
there's
hecklers and
the combined energy of all the people.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. It's the hecklers. It's the people that.
I would think even it's just a horrible opening acts could really just mess a crowd up. And
like there was one night when I did a show at Morty's, and like everyone on the show was solid. Like they were like, it was, and I wasn't even performing. I just went there to see the show, and like I've never seen a crowd hate comedy more. Like there was no excuse. Like you never blame the crowd for your set.
Right.
It's like you either ate a dick or you didn't.
right.
You know what I mean? But I've never seen a crowd hate comedy more. It's like why did you guys just stay home?
Did all of your did everyone's dog die right before you got here?
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I mean, we've talked about this before about how people get offended over comedy.
Yeah.
Like,
Then
listen,
then why listen to it?
there's certain things, there's certain jokes I don't do, there's certain things I don't address, there's certain things, and that's just me. And I'm not the comedy police. You do your bit, I'll do my bit, and whatever. But like, if you're going to be that offended to where you're going to like yell at the comic or walk out, then stay home and don't. Like, be ready for whatever when you come to a comedy club.
It's like somebody going, I heard that Doug Stanhope was funny. I'm going to go to his show and
my God,
and not know what you're in for.
Yeah.
And then
Stanhope's the best.
He's amazing.
Do you end up ever dealing with like the hecklers? Do you get back at them at all? I know there's some comics who are really good at taking care of the hecklers.
There's some comics that will.
Did you ever work with?
I've heard that will plant a heckler.
Really?
That's what I was wondering if people ever did. Because
did you ever work with like Hofstetter?
Yeah, Hofstetter.
Yeah, he's kind of made his shtick
of being able to
he's a beast.
Is he? He's pretty damn funny. I mean, he moved out. He moved to Pennsylvania.
He's
I guess,
smart. He was part owner with Morty's.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He was part owner with Morty's. Him and Chris Bowers, and I think there's another silent partner. I think, but
I found him good at least as far as he was very. He was able to intelligently get back at people if they were heckling.
Well, of course, there's the famous Bill Burr, was it
Philadelphia?
And he just went off for like 15 minutes.
Do you ever get back? Do you ever address the hecklers at all and try to deal with them?
I avoid hecklers. Like I don't pick on people, but like I will I will say something to people, but the worst heckler I ever had, we was at the beer cellar, if you know where the beer cellar is in Castleton. It was right around the corner from Hooters.
Well, it's a yard line now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yard line.
So it was right around the corner from Hooters, and they had like an open mic like at like 12:30 on a Tuesday night or whatever it was. It was the worst. And like no one was there to see comedy.
No.
Like no one.
No.
Like they were over there hitting the punching bag machine. They were shooting pool, and the race or the game was on or whatever. So it was hard enough to get attention and keep the crowd. So right in front there's a table with these two girls, and they were just talking through the whole thing. And so I get up and I'm like, I'm going to show these girls. Nope, they just kept on talking or whatever. And so for whatever reason, I'm like, wait, what are you girls talking about down there? And they're like, oh, we're sorry. No, it's fine. It's like, what are you? And it's like, oh, no, sorry, and whatever. I'm like, you're a really good-looking girl. You're really pretty. I was like, you look like you work out. Are you into fitness? And she says,
I know this joke.
And she says, well, no, I work out. I'm like, no, I can see you work out, but are you into fitness? And she goes, yeah, I'm into fitness. I'm like, well, how about fitness nutsack in your mouth so you can't talk during my show? And that's the worst heckler I've never
done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I will like pick. I don't like
Well, everybody, I think you see a lot of comedians. They pick some people to help with their show, or there's things you can.
Yeah,
pull
I
off
never
of
make people feel bad. Like I will.
Sure.
Like I will say, "Is this your wife?" I'm like, "Good job, buddy." You know what I mean, or whatever. And then I will like.
You go to
but
the
I
wife.
never.
What bet did you lose?
I get that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna make like someone like really want to come back at me in a negative way. I'm not.
All right.
I'm not there for that.
Some
I'm not
people
there
feed
to
off
like.
that.
Some people thrive on. I was just trying to.
Well,
pick
we
your
got that
comedy
with
style.
the band. We used to get that a lot. It's like every drunk guy at a bar band. It's like free bird.
Yeah, play some Skinner, man.
And so for a while, it was just like, here's your free bird, dude. It was like,
Yeah.
but then at some point, I don't know, like maybe 3 years ago, we're just like, well,
Okay.
fuck it. My band's fucking awesome, right? And it was like, somebody calls out free bird. Let's just go ahead and we'll do like sort of a hokey reggae for the verse. We sort of like lead in it with like a sort of a funky little calypso beat, do that bit, and if I leave here tomorrow, and then the band sort of like builds up and then goes into the fucking guitar solo, and they're like, we end the song big, bam, bam, and people are just like, fuck yeah, we're like, yeah, all right, so come on, man, we're gonna win you over. There's nothing better than winning.
I mean, there's a lot of comics. Like, I mean, I think. As much as I like, and I've worked with Hofstetter before, and he's a great guy, and he's smart. I mean, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm not there to make a statement.
Right, and that's
I'm there to make you laugh.
It's your time. It's everybody. But that's why you need different kinds of comedy.
And so,
everybody's got their
right. So over the
genre.
last, I would say 5 or 6 years, it's become more like I don't care who you voted for. I don't care how you voted. I don't care if you're vaccinated or you're not vaccinated. I'm just here to make you laugh.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make you think.
Sure.
If I was going to do that, I'd be a motivational speaker. I'd do so. What I mean? I'm here to make you laugh. I'm not here to like to pick on your political affiliation. I'm not going to be like.
Sure.
And Hofstetter does that, and he does it well.
But not everybody can. And again, that's why there's different genres.
Right.
Of
That's
comedy.
why there's different. That's why there's.
Everybody's got their thing.
Doug Stanhope takes. I saw him at the.
Well,
I saw him at the sinking ship.
Yeah.
I saw him at the sinking ship in Broad Ripple, and he walked about 5 or 6 couples in the first 15 minutes of his act, and he was like, "I walked him. I walked."
Yeah.
Why would you want to do?
What does that
But he
mean?
gets
What does that
off
mean?
on
Walk
that.
them? He made
They're
them
out.
leave.
He made him leave.
Oh, okay.
He offended him so much that they left, and that's listen.
But that's his goal.
He was already paid.
Yeah, because he's a bit
He can-
self-destructive too.
Yeah, he was already paid. I mean, like he got so they've already
He's not
paid
worrying
them-
about the door, getting money off the door.
Correct. Like they're not going to get their money back. They're leaving on their own accord.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? I never understood. Like, and no offense to him, like that's his gig, but like, why would you do that? Why would you want to do that?
But I feel like some of them do that after they've gotten bigger, and they're again, like I said, he's
Because
already
they can
paid.
afford to do it,
He's
yeah.
not worried about getting a cut of the
No,
door.
no, right, correct,
So
right.
he's
yeah.
been paid, so he don't give a shit.
right.
And he's
Yeah, I
trying.
think
And
he's
he's trying
always-
to get press or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think
He's-
I also like David Tell. I've always liked David Tell, but he
Tell's
seems
good, yeah.
more middle of the road, less super insulty. I guess he's coming up to Healy. I saw him coming up.
Yeah,
to,
David
he's a
Tell.
big
He
hero.
had an album called "Skanks for the Memories." And
I
it's-
remember I was like, because he did that show too, the drunk show or
After
whatever.
Dark.
Yeah,
Until
where
After Dark.
He'd
I think,
literally
yeah.
just go to bars and drink.
or he would go like diners or whatever,
Yeah.
and like yeah.
I always liked that one.
That album is called "Skanks for the Memories."
Yeah.
Is probably one of the best. It's probably one of my favorite comedy albums of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't recall the album, but yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, David Tell, I really like him a lot.
I don't know if I've ever seen or read his comedy
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like
The show I didn't. I
well,
didn't
you remember
watch
he
either.
originally did like the Man Show, and then but
Yeah, I
he
didn't
had
like
that.
that. I didn't
Well,
think
no,
that
he
was
wasn't
funny.
Man Show. No, that was Stanhope. Sorry.
Yeah,
But he
I didn't think that
had
show
you
was
didn't
funny.
see that show, the After Hours
I
thing?
did.
where
I
you
didn't.
didn't like it?
No.
I thought it was funny, but I was also young and dumb and pretty stupid. So
My favorite probably was Patrice O'Neill.
do we have another beer?
Nah, he was funny. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Patrice O'Neill.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I
he
grew up
he
on, like-
passed, yeah,
I grew up on like George Carlin.
sure.
Richard
like,
Pryor.
Now that was smart.
So when we were kids, Mom and Dad would like on HBO late at night, George Carlin and Richard Pryor and all these people would come on.
Eddie Murphy.
And so, and they would order us up to bed, but we had a vent that me and my brother would lay down. And
You'd
listen
listen, yeah.
We'd lay down on the floor and listen to, like, from their living room. That would come up. We wouldn't laugh too loud because they knew we were listening or whatever. But yeah, like George Carlin and even before then, Jerry Clower. If you guys know who Jerry Clower is.
Yep.
I remember Jerry.
I don't know that
and
one.
Ray Stevens, the funny
Sure.
stuff he did, and like all the. Like
Ray
all
Stevens,
the
the
They
streak.
call me the streak.
Woo! Look at that! Look at that!
Yeah.
God, that just gives me horrible
That's
memories. My
so
dad used
crazy.
to listen to that song.
Yeah. So that's the stuff I listened to. It's probably the reason why. But like, Jerry Clower was like an old backwoods country type of comedian or whatever, and like
the Tom T. Hall stuff.
Tom T. Hall. Yeah,
sure.
Tom T. Hall. Yeah, we
Sneaky
listened.
Snake.
The Larry the Cable Guy before Larry the Cable
Yeah.
Guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the Jim Stafford. If you know,
I don't know Jim Stafford.
Well,
no.
he did.
He's
Spiders
quarterback
and
for the Lions for a
Snakes,
couple years.
Pretty sure he's quarterback of the Lions right now, right? He might as well be quarterback of the Lions right now.
Jim Stafford
Or the
did a song called Cow Patty. He did like Spiders and Snakes.
I never heard that.
I
one.
mean, okay, you be a music guy if you
So
know
you
Jim
like
Stafford,
you're talking some of the comedy musicians.
Music, yeah.
Is what you like.
Yeah.
You listen to a lot of.
I see,
Okay, yeah.
So growing
I
up,
always hated this.
we listened to lots of like Red Skelton and all those guys. That's what we like. They had the HBO specials or whatever, and that's what we grew up with.
Well, and then like the slapstick shows like Hee Haw, remember?
Oh
Where-
yeah, Hee Haw. Yeah, it was every Friday night. It was
God, I
be
don't-
between like Dukes of Hazzard and the Incredible Hulk and then the Hee Haw or whatever.
Yeah, it was funny stuff. you
Yeah.
know?
It was back then. Yeah, I listened to. I watched
And
it
so-
now sometimes.
As they tried to, the South tried to,
rise again.
right, exactly, subvert us with their culture. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, but none of it was like they never like went out of their way to offend anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it was like back then, it probably did. To today's standards.
It's a little bit corny, but it was it
Sure,
was cool.
yeah.
Like,
It was funny.
could you imagine All in the Family airing
Nope.
this
No.
season?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
I hear they're trying to do a reboot, but no, just kidding.
Right. I mean, there's no way.
What's funny too though is I
But it was a
people
period
who
piece.
people who are that age. I had this guy flipping. I had Archie as my pro. I used to change my profile picture every couple hours, and I had Archie. I would put Archie on there once in a while. And this guy, he's a politician in town, and he was like freaking out. It's like about the character. I'm like, do you have no understanding of what the character was actually doing and
Why?
what
they
he
did
was
the
standing?
character?
It's like you're a fucking idiot.
It
I was like.
it was a caricature,
right.
Not even a character. It was a
Right.
And
caricature.
it was it was all about how ridiculous he
right.
was, and
That was the point of all.
the
of it.
guy was like, "That was a horrible person." I'm like,
No,
I was
yeah.
like, he wasn't really a jackass.
You
He was
didn't
like-
celebrate him for being a
Yeah, I was like-
douchebag.
yeah, I was
you were
like,
like, oh my
Somebody
god.
wrote this as a
Yeah.
pastiche.
Yeah.
He was. It's like the heel wrestler, the bad guy wrestler.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hate him, and if you don't, he's not doing his job. Like the heel wrestlers don't want you to clap for him; they want you to boo him.
Right. That's what they're there
Like
for.
the
It's a character.
The good guy wrestlers want you to give them the high fives, and they're kissing babies or whatever. If you're clapping for a heel wrestler, they're not doing their job, and they don't like you. It's the same way with Archie Bunker's character. He was a racist.
he was
Prick.
ignorant. And
He had
But
no,
that
you
was
know,
the caricature of it. It was
right,
that,
and that's
they,
and that,
they went above
and it was
beyond
showing
to show
people how
something that was
it's
stupid.
the
And
stupidity of it
that's
all.
the character he was supposed to play. When people say, "Oh, well, we're going to ban Laura Ingalls Wilder's books because it portrayed African Americans in a negative light," that's what was going on at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
It was all
They're,
real to
they're
the
not.
time.
We're not glorifying it. We're
Right.
not saying it was right, but that's what was happening at the
Right.
time.
Well, that's what I think I've talked about it in one show. I think way in the past was I read I wish I could find the piece again, but it was a discussion about why some of this all this stuff that comes up from the past. It's because when we had TV shows, even an old show, you knew which channel it was on, and you knew it was a rerun, of something. Whereas now, since all the media is available at all times, people are being exposed, kids and younger generation are being exposed to things
Out of
from the
context.
past,
Yeah.
out of context with the lens of today, without that understanding, that
Sure.
context of this was what they were doing back then. Was it right? Yeah. Do some of these jokes translate well now to today? Absolutely not. But also, if you read into some of what they were trying to do, they were trying to address some
Absolutely. No,
of
comedy.
some kind of
Yeah.
social issue with some comedy in it. You know,
Right.
you watch, it's
That's what comedy is
and
for.
you see a
I mean,
lot.
Absolutely.
I've actually for some reason I like watching old Night Court episodes.
Oh,
and,
my
and I
gosh,
see
yeah.
some
Yep.
episodes where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they really actually kind of tried to tackle something here. Homosexuality. There's like an episode on that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And you're like, well, damn, that was a long time ago, and that's kind of. But they
It
were
wasn't
trying.
done.
It wasn't done the best way. But in
Barney
that you
Miller
could
was
do, but
a phenomenal show. That
Yeah,
was hilarious,
absolutely,
and they did a lot of stuff that
urban
you look back,
stuff and problems.
Absolutely, I
The
mean,
cop
KRP
shows.
great
in
show, yeah.
Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah.
Shows,
They
yep.
they
No,
tried
yeah.
to do with what they could at the time. But you got to read deeper into it. But a lot of people nowadays aren't looking at the deeper meaning. They're thinking, oh, well, this comedy, well, that's horrible. You should be canceled. I'm like, yes, some of the jokes don't translate well now today.
But-
I agree completely.
So-
But you have to try them to find out if they're offensive. How do you know it's offensive until you actually say it?
But they just judge and immediately cancel. Jokes you can't.
Yeah.
Jokes you could do a while ago you can't do now because it's just a straight up fear.
Yeah, I've always said this, and whether you're a white comic, a black comic, a Jewish comic, or whatever your background is as a comic.
Jewish aren't funny.
Yeah, they're not funny at all.
They're bankers.
They're bankers.
Wow,
right.
really?
Oh,
Damn.
shit.
Jewelers.
Edit.
Jewelers, all of them.
Edit.
Jewelers.
No,
Edit.
no, that's the
No, I'm
whole
just kidding.
point. Is it's just
No,
silly.
no, I'm just joking.
No,
So,
I know,
yeah.
I just-
So, I've always said, like, I did a joke one time about when the ice bucket challenge was going around. Said, everyone did the ice bucket challenge. You know who didn't do the ice bucket challenge? Black women. Because you get black women get their hair wet, they're going to kill somebody. And people say, well, that's racist. No, it's not.
Go
Have you ever
talk
seen
to-
get a black woman's hair wet and see if she don't stab you?
touch hair? Yeah, you gotta be. They're
But and there
Chris
and
Rock
there's-
did a whole.
It's
did
not
a
a
whole movie
it's not
on
a
that.
it's a racial joke. It's not a racist joke. The only
Yeah.
racist I don't know any racist comics. None. The only racist comics I know are telling racist jokes to their racist friends in a garage somewhere in
Right.
Bug Tussle, Oklahoma.
And there's some white hats involved,
Right.
Right.
Some
Yeah,
pointy
no-
white
no
hats
one-
involved.
Listen, and I've
They call 'em hoods.
You guys have heard me say this before. If we laughed more about our differences than we
Right.
fought about them,
Sure.
like I don't hate anybody. I want to make fun of everybody.
right.
And it's not mean spirited. It's not. You know.
I think it's through the comedy and music. I think which
Let's show the
we've used that for
ridiculousness
years
of
of getting through things and
some
showing
of these things.
Yeah.
Well, the music and the
does
stand
music
up
hit-
It's
com-
art.
how
I mean
does
art.
music
I shouldn't
work
say
on
music
that?
and comedy. Art is
Comedy seems to
I
have a
think-
little bit of different angle on that. Music is not. I mean,
No,
it's
music. Well, no.
more of combining or bringing people together, right?
Well, I think
Well,
it's
but
more
lyr-
straightforward into a point where is comedy is using that those the funny things about stereotypicalness and it's about how silly some of it is, but nowadays think it's all racist. Well, no, it's just it's
Racist.
pointing it's
You're trying to make a joke about the ridiculousness
Right.
of that particular trope.
or I think music is more straightforward and into a
But there were. I mean, music is a vehicle for a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
I remember again growing up in a high demand religion,
Yep.
and still being exposed to like 2112. Rush's great album, and listening to this album at 8 years old and reading these lyrics and going, wait a second here, man. Somebody's thinking way different than I am.
Right.
There's a whole different world out there, and I think stand-up comedy is a vehicle that way, the same way. It's because of the comedy aspect of it. It gives us permission to step into taboos and say, hey,
and I
it's
think
comedy.
to start exploring those, if you listen to something or hear something that you don't really know about, and then go, okay, well I never really thought about it this way. And then you start, if you have
if you have that
if
inclination
you have English
to think that
which
way.
hopefully
it's
or
a
to start
safe. It's a safe way into
to
those
start
areas.
just,
I mean,
exploring things
I can
and
give you
other
a good
ideas
example of. So, They did a show one night at Morty's, and it was I was the only white comic on the show, and the crowd was probably 85 to 90% black, and I was leading off. I was the opening act, and so we started like a half hour late.
That's usual, right?
And so there's a thing, and my buddy that I went to high school with, he's still my best friend to this day, would show up to my house. If he said 8:30, it was going to be 9:15.
Yep.
And then it was called CPT.
BPT. Now.
Yeah, it's BPT now. CPT then. So my opening line was, "Hey guys, sorry we're getting started late. Some of you guys decided to invoke your CPT rights." And they all laughed. Everyone.
That's brave. That's brave.
Well, everyone. I didn't even think about it. It wasn't even a thought to say BPT or CPT.
Yeah.
Because my friend, when he showed up 45 minutes later, I'm like, "Where you been?" He's like, "Hey, CPT, motherfucker, get in the car." So that's that. So everyone laughed. Everyone had a blast with it. So I get back. So after my show, and so it's like, and they were like, "Oh man, that's fucked up." And I'm like, "Hey, in all honesty, sir, you just now sit down." You know what I mean? So I went on with my bit or whatever, and so I go back, and so the guy, he didn't own the club, but he worked there. He's like, "Dude, they hated you after that CPT comment." And I looked at the other black comics on the show, and I'm like, "Was I okay with that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you're cool. It's no, like they all laughed. You're fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't to mean to be offensive,
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I said CPT. I didn't like.
Yeah. No, I get it. No, I completely get it.
Everyone saw.
Like, why are you mad? You're white. Why are you mad at this? Like, everyone else got my joke, and I called someone out on their, like, in all, you know, you were 40. You just now sat down, sir. So you were the one that caused us to be late, or whatever I said. You know what I mean?
Are you going to explain CPT? Because I don't.
It's,
I'll explain
it's
it out.
colored people time. Now you
okay.
can't say colored people time anymore, so it's black people time. But the whole urban legend is they're always late.
That's the ridiculousness of that stereotype. Right. Is what you're calling out.
Yeah. The high demand religion I grew up in, they have that same thing. You know, Mormon Standard Time. Everybody's a half hour late.
Right. Yeah. So MST. Right.
Probably because they have like 12 kids. You know.
They got to get dressed and fed. And
we went and saw Lewis Black.
Lewis Black.
Oh, Lewis Black.
I saw him too at I think at Crackers. Or
No, we saw him at the Mirage or something downtown, and we had front row seats. And fucking Aubrey, this is back when she was
what year was this?
One of her handful years, and I was like, we gotta go, and we were late, and I'm like, God damn it, we're in the front row. I'm like, God damn it, I said we're gonna get fucked with. She's like, blah, 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 blah. So sure as shit, he was coming
Lewis
up
Black
on stage.
or Louis C.K.
Lewis Black.
Okay,
coming on stage, and so we're going to our seats, and I sure as shit, he's like, oh, everybody held on for the rich fucks to sit down, and I'm like. And she just looked at me. I'm like, you fucking. It's like I fucking told you.
What year was this? Because I saw Lewis Black in Indiana too, but that was probably 1990.
No,
I'm sorry.
I moved here in 2005.
Sorry, that was out in Arizona. I saw Lewis Black.
Yeah,
sorry.
So this was probably 2006 or something.
Sorry, it was out in Arizona, but we sat front row too, and I made sure to get there early because I was not gonna be pissing off Lewis Black.
We had a handicapped guy on the end who he fucked with because he fell asleep. So he was not giving in to anybody. He didn't give a shit. He's gonna fuck with you.
Nope. Yep. But he's at that level where he can.
But he was.
You know,
funny.
you get to that level. There's a point.
I
where
was
you
surprised
can.
seeing. We saw. This was in the 90s. We saw Gallagher in like Maryville. After he was already, because the only thing I'd seen him on was those half-hour shows that were on like VH1,
Showtime,
just doing the fucking. And I'm like, I don't want to go see this fucking. This guy's not funny. This fucking hits shit, and it was one of the best fucking stand-ups I've ever seen. His stuff before all the stupid slamming shit was hilarious. He was.
Well, if you listen to some of his comedy,
I never did before.
It's very insightful.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, we're smoking and Chris is having an asthma attack.
It's okay.
So I did a show one time.
Sorry, Chris.
You're right.
Actually, at Alley's, when they used to have the conference room before it became an arcade, And so it was for the Decatur County, Hamilton County Disabilities Awareness. And so there was a whole table full of deaf people, hearing impaired. I think they prefer to be called deaf. They don't like hearing impaired. But anyway, so they
Don't matter. They won't hear you. When
they had it. They had a. They're not going to hear me anyway. Right? They're not going to hear this, so it doesn't really matter.
They don't listen to podcasts.
So they had an
They
ASL.
listen in Braille.
They had an ASL interpreter, like doing sign language the whole time, and So my wife is on the board for the Hamilton County Disabilities Awareness. She's my wife is the autism specialist for Hamilton Southeastern Schools, so she's on the board. And so I knew that no matter what I said, this ASL interpreter is contractually bound to interpret whatever I say. She can't alter it at all. She's contractually, she signs an actual contract. She can't, like, if I'm talking to a deaf person, she has to say exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
And so
I feel like there's a lot of, quote, jerking off going on.
So I said, so in the middle of my act, I just start saying, "Hi, I'm the ASL interpreter," and she's interpreting this. "I really like this guy on stage, and I want to go home with him and sleep with him." She's interpreting this to the table of the hearing impaired people. "I bet he's got a big Johnson, and I really want to see, and I'm just like, how do you say a woman with big boobs?" And she's like, and she's doing the whole thing, you know what I mean? And like, I'm just messing with her like the whole time. And like in the middle of my joke, I'll just start going off. Like, I'll just like veer off, and I'm just like, just saying stuff. And she's like, "I have a big vagina," and she's like, "Good,
Big pussy titty vagina.
yeah, and she's doing, and they're just rolling. You know what I mean? Because they know that there's no
she
way.
was probably going, "This guy's an asshole."
Right? Yeah, this guy's an asshole or whatever. But
Yeah, you don't know.
But I premised it to say, I went into the bit saying, "Please give a warm welcome to our ASL interpreter," or whatever. I said she's contractually, obligated to say whatever I say. You know what I mean? So, so she's got a
this
hard
is gonna
job
get
tonight.
fun.
So please give it up for her. You know what I mean? And then I divert into my act, and then I start going, the guy on stage is really handsome, and his wife, is no comparison to me, and I want to take him home, right? You know what I mean? And she has to interpret this whole thing like word for
She probably
word.
hated you afterwards.
And but she had a good. She's like, "God damn it, don't!" And she was laughing, but it was, it is what it
Awesome.
is. Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. That's pretty freaking cool.
She lied.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, she lied.
All
Yeah.
right, we gotta end this one.
Yeah.
right.
This does not mean Big Johnson.
I gotta say, I still. He's like, "How do you know she wasn't lying?"
Yeah, right.
All right.
So let's we're gonna close out with one more sample.
I drank mine.
You drank yours already?
Yeah, I drank
I've
mine
been
too.
working on it.
So
I
this
still
is
got a
Weldwerk's Brewing. This is the frozen in carbonate. Cryopop is Cryopop blend. So this sounds like another
cryo.
a bit of cryo.
Frozen
on
in
the,
carbonite.
Yeah.
So when they're cryoing, are they freezing the hops to sort of treat them somehow?
Yeah.
It's the
I think-
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it
Means
now that you
Patrick's
said-
Patrick
what's
doing
odd
Han
when
Solo
now that you
tonight.
said something about the powderiness of the other one, now I'm like, now I don't know if it's just my mind thinking, because now I'm like,
Probably.
I'm getting, but I think it's the dryness. Maybe I think this is awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good. Yeah, it's nice.
It's
Well-
just a real. I mean, it's just very.
So yeah, they're freeze drying certain things to grab to hold on to certain aspects of it, but and just doing certain treatments to it. And it seems to be more of a powder. It's because it's a pellet form.
I don't,
'Cause
yeah, I
a
don't
lot-
know
a
if
lot
it's
of
that
the
or
hops-
just the
A
dryness.
lot of the
but
some hops are straight up hops.
Is it an
and they crush
IPA?
them, but others are more
Brandon,
of a pellet
an
hop.
IPA?
Is what
it
it
is.
is.
It's just a.
Is that like a bulk manufactured thing that they
Yeah.
purchase? And
Yeah,
so
because
they
a
try
lot
to
of
upsell it
breweries.
now?
Yeah, a lot of breweries also just purchase the pellet hop.
Sure.
It's because getting the fresh
Right.
straight up is really hard. So you get the pellet and you're putting them either in the boil or you're putting them in a bag for a dry hopping afterwards.
It's like buying a head of lettuce versus buying a bag of lettuce. They're
Sure,
buying the bag.
exactly.
you
You're
know,
right.
already
Exactly.
chopped
There's
and
some of
shredded,
it's
yeah.
already been done and processed. In this case, they're isolating a few other components to it.
Sure.
With
This is,
the cryo process.
This is trademark of the Yakima Chief hops used with permission.
Wow.
Yeah, it's El Dorado and Talus.
It feels more like a NEPA. It feels a little more like a NEPA. It's pretty juicy.
It's very juicy, but then I do get the dryness. And I don't know if I'm in my mind is because you were talking about that earlier. And
Sure.
I don't know, but because it does kind of just.
This is just dry. It
It's
disappears
dry
quick.
and it's gone. But it's really nice. It's
fantastic.
It's a great beer.
It's a
I
fantastic.
think there's
Um,
one of you guys that told me if I don't like IPAs, try the NEPAs.
Try the NEPAs. They're juicy.
All right.
I'm not big.
And it's
Yeah.
a little bit better than
it's
it's not as aggressive or as
they're
a
crappy NEPAs.
Something,
too.
yeah, you get bad NEPAs, but I mean, I think for someone who, especially if they get in their mindset of I don't like IPAs, let's do some NEPAs and then start to get in. Because to me, it's more it's the hops. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's
It's
so many
the-
hops
it's
out
the
there now
bitter
that
taste. If you can get your nose to get past the floral hop part, a double IPA or a NEPA goes much further because it's not so bitter on the back end in taste. The straight up IPAs and some super hopped IPAs, there's a bit they are going heavy on the bitter hops, and the floral hops. So you're just hit on both ends of it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? But some of the DEPAs and the NEPAs are just they finish much cleaner, much juicier, much fruitier.
if they're done right.
But
yeah.
if they're done right, some NEPAs, like in my mind, a NEPA should be a little bit cloudy. It's in the hazy IPA,
Yeah.
and it should have some heft in it. But some of them clarify the NEPA, and it's like you can't really call that a NEPA. I can see through it at that point.
yeah.
It's not a NEPA anymore.
Right.
It's a double IPA or something like
Right.
that. You're
Right.
not really. You've taken all the floaty stuff and the extra body
Good
out of that
stuff.
particular beer. And so I think you should lean towards looking at DEPAs and NEPAs to get past the bitter taste part.
And then
Yeah.
start writing down the hops. When you like a beer, start jotting down hops because
You'll
start to
start to
realize
figure
it's
out.
not the IPAs, it's the hops that you don't like. And
Right. Because there's so many out there now with a fruit note or a pepper note or a or a pine note or
Penis.
a penis note. You know.
Where the hell
He
did that
said
come
penis. I don't know.
Well, all right. Well, that's where we're at. I was gonna say you get a penis.
So
note on
the
your
next beer up.
Hey, we started with somebody shipping in a big giant
Yeah. Dong.
Penis.
vibrator.
We're
It's
good.
India
Yeah.
penis. Ale.
All right.
You
then
start with
with
a
a-
penis, you end with a penis.
That's
All
right.
So it's actually IPA's India Penis Ale.
Yeah,
It is.
Indiana penis.
Indiana
The,
Penis
the
Ale.
good ones.
The good ones, right? The ones you really want to try are the penis ales, right? Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
It depends on how you stir them. They
I
call that.
should use a pseudonym on
Yeah.
this podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna call that one the
And
Boston.
really, the cloudy ones, yeah, they really taste better. Probably aren't that good. But
Right.
You probably want,
There's a
probably want
reason why
that
they're
clear
cloudy.
IPA when it comes to that.
There's
But
a reason why they're cloudy. There was a
How do you think they stir it up?
there was a happy ending
Oh
at
no!
the end of the brewing process.
This is why we usually don't do 2-hour shows. We'll see if this second hour ever airs.
We
Oh,
do
it's
what
fine.
we
No,
do.
it's
So,
good.
yeah,
It's
we
good.
should.
It's all
yeah.
good.
Should air every
all
minute of it.
good.
It is. Yeah.
All right. So
we're just gonna edit out that one thing that Jeremy said earlier. That yeah, we'll definitely edit that out. That was horrible. I
What
don't
did
know.
I say?
I don't know.
That was.
I don't know.
That was.
I don't know. But your
What?
family should be. I mean, we'll cut all that out, Jeremy. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
You don't remember that?
Yeah. Mom wouldn't be proud.
Yeah. Our poor mothers.
All right.
I hope your mom's not listening to this podcast.
Oh my God, I'm yeah. But that's the thing she does though. Like it drives my brothers crazy. Like soon
All
as
right. Well,
I got the
I'll edit
band-
two shows. I'll edit a normal show, then I'll edit a
MS
mother's show.
But then
Yeah,
we'll
the
have one
E.
show and
It'd
then,
be
an,
like,
and then
you
an MST show.
Yeah, it'd be like 5 minutes, but it'd be good.
All right. I tell you what. My mom's been to some pretty messed up
MPT. Sorry.
comedy shows that just really quick. I know we're trying to sign off, but so we were doing this show at some bar in Newcastle one time, and my mom wanted a daiquiri, and it was the type of the bar that didn't serve daiquiris, they just didn't, and so it just in order to out of respect for my mom, the bar was like, "Yeah, we'll make you a daiquiri." So they got this old school blender in the back, and then they're throwing ice and they're mixing it up or whatever. And right in the middle of what guy said, he says, the blender goes off. He goes, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm like, "My mom likes daiquiris." And he's like, "I know what kind of drink your mom likes." And he's like, "By the way, that's a fucking his mom joke." And my mom's sitting right behind me. And my dad's just howling. I mean, like, he's just like rolling.
He's like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the kind of person my mom is.
She likes a penis colada.
Right, yeah, she likes the peanut. I know what kind of drink your mom likes, and then like everyone just kind of died down, and he was like, "That's a me fucking his mom joke." Yeah.
Oh no!
And so my mom's hiding her face, my dad's rolling, and I'm like, "Oh my god, she's sitting right behind me."
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Those have got to be fun times.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
It was been a great night.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, that was a blast.
We did some good beers.
Nice meeting
Bourbon.
Chris. I'll never remember his name, but I'll never forget his face.
Yeah,
and-
that Jeremy guy. I don't even remember his name.
Right.
Either.
Already. Yeah. Done.
8 years from now, we'll get you guys on the show again.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Can
Anytime.
try, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not 8.
Yes.
Well, if you say 8 beers from now, that means tomorrow for Jeremy.
Right, yeah. That means 12:30. I'll be showing up to your garage. We're not set up yet. What the hell's going on?
Chris said he'd be here.
You said 8 beers. It started at 1 o'clock.
All right.
All right, everybody. Cheers. Thanks
Cheers.
for listening.
Cheers.
We'll
see
be
ya.
back again.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Ready, fire, aim. Guilt and greed, I got the best of me.